You ever feel like you're just guessing when it comes to predicting sports outcomes? Like, what if
Oh,
you had something that goes way beyond just gut feelings?
I mean, that really digs into the data, right?
Yeah.
To give you a proper edge, maybe, in understanding an upcoming game.
Exactly. And that's precisely what we're doing today.
Yeah, we've got our hands on this really fascinating analysis. It's for the upcoming MLS match, Colorado Rapids versus Seattle Sounders, April 26th, 2025.
And this isn't just, someone's opinion tossed out there.
No, this is powered by some seriously smart tech. It's the SmartBet AI from the Gambler's Ruin Project.
Right. So this is all about cutting through the usual speculation with, well, data-driven insights. Our goal here in this deep dive is basically to figure out what this AI report is telling us about the Rapid Sounders clash.
Mm-hmm. We want to understand the likely scenarios, yeah. The factors shaping those predictions.
And maybe even uncover some, surprising details hidden in the numbers. Think of it as like a shortcut. Your fast track to being in the know before kickoff.
Definitely. We'll be looking at everything. Injury updates, what the weather might do.
Oh yeah, weather too.
Yep, and then the really interesting stuff, the detailed statistical models the AI actually uses to come up with its conclusions. It's the whole picture.
Okay, sounds good. Let's set the scene then. Match details. Colorado Rapids versus Seattle Sounders. April 26th, 2025. It's at Dick's Sporting Goods Park in Commerce City. An evening game. So what about that weather you mentioned?
Okay, so the report indicates a pretty standard evening for late spring there. Looks like mainly clear skies, temperature around 56 degrees Fahrenheit, give or take.
Okay, pretty comfortable.
Yeah, and a very light breeze, west, maybe 2 miles per hour, gusts up to maybe 13. And crucially, almost no chance of rain, like 2% probability.
So basically perfect football weather. Conditions shouldn't really be a major factor.
Exactly. Maybe the slight breeze affects a long ball or a set piece, but probably not much. Subtly, if anything.
Got it. Okay, elements are fine. What about the teams, the players? Anyone important potentially missing?
Yes. Unfortunately, both sides have some injury concerns listed here. For the home team, Colorado, defender Jackson Travis is definitely out. Upper back injury.
A defender. And no return date specified?
Nope, none specified, which, always adds a bit of uncertainty.
Yeah, that could definitely impact their back line. How's Seattle looking on the injury front?
Seattle actually has a few more listed. Defender Kobe Henry, he's got a muscle injury. Goalkeeper Zach McMath has a shoulder problem. And forward Matthew Bell is out with a hamstring injury.
Wow, defender, keeper, and a forward.
Yeah. And same story, no firm return dates mentioned for any of them either.
Yeah.
Losing players in those key positions, well, it could stretch their squad depth, limit tactical options.
For sure. Okay, so both teams are dealing with absences. Now let's get to the core of this thing, the SmartBet AI.
Yeah.
How does this technology actually, predict the game?
Well, what's really interesting is that it doesn't just rely on one single method. It's a mix, a hybrid approach. It combines traditional statistics with more advanced machine learning techniques. Think of it like this. At its heart, it uses something called Poisson regression. That's mainly for estimating how many goals each team might score. Poisson is often used for count data, like goals.
Right, like predicting the average number of goals based on past performance and stuff?
Exactly, based on their history, strength, context, all that.
Okay, so that gives you a potential scoreline. But how does it get from goals to who actually wins, loses, or draws?
That's where the machine learning part kicks in. To predict the actual match outcome, the win, draw, or loss, the AI uses several different types of ML models.
Several.
Yeah, specifically random forest, XGBoost, that's a type of gradient boosting, very powerful, and also a multi-layer perceptron, which is a kind of neural network.
Okay, wow. So it's like having different expert analysts look at the same info, but maybe weigh things differently.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, it's like different brains using slightly different methods to reach a conclusion on the overall result.
Makes sense. So what kind of information are these different models actually chewing on? What's the input data?
Oh, it's comprehensive. It takes in a huge range. Things like those expected goals we just talked about, obviously, but also dynamic ELO ratings for both teams.
ELO ratings, like in chess, but for football teams.
Sort of, yeah. It's a constantly updating measure of a team's strength relative to others. And crucially, these ELO ratings are adjusted for those injuries we mentioned.
Oh, that's clever. What are the ratings here?
So Colorado's ELO is around 1493.15. Seattle's is a bit higher at 1527.26.
Okay, so the AI sees Seattle as slightly stronger overall based on that rating?
Based purely on the ELO, yes, slightly, but that's just one piece.
Right. What else does it factor in?
Loads. The recent form points per game, basically. Expected goals both for and against in recent matches. The home advantage, obviously.
Right.
The injury count itself is a feature. How efficient teams are at converting chances into actual goals. And interestingly, it even looks at the betting market odds.
The betting odds, how does that work?
It converts the odds into implied probabilities. So it's sort of incorporating the wisdom of the crowd as another data point.
Clever.
Yeah. And they use techniques like fuzzy matching and Unicode normalization just to make sure the underlying data they feed in is accurate. Lots going on under the hood.
Wow, okay. That is thorough. So let's dive into what these different models actually predict for this specific game, starting with that Poisson regression, the goal forecast.
Okay, the standard Poisson model predicts Colorado scoring around 2.25 goals.
2.25.
Okay. And Seattle scoring about 1.42 goals.
1.42. So noticeable difference there. Based purely on that initial calculation, the AI expects more goals from Colorado.
That's right. More likely to find the net, according to that specific model.
Okay. But you mentioned simulations, too, to account for, like, the randomness.
Exactly. To get a better handle on the range of possibilities, they use what's called a bootstrap Poisson model. It runs the goal prediction process 1,000 times.
1,000 times.
Okay. Yeah. And this gives us predicted goals, but also with a 95% confidence interval, basically a likely range.
And what does that look like?
For Colorado, the average prediction shifts slightly to 2.35 goals, but the range is pretty wide, potentially anywhere from 0 goals up to 6.
0 to 6? Wow.
Yeah. And for Seattle, it's about 1.43 goals on average, with a range from 0 up to 4 goals.
Those are wide ranges. What does that tell us?
It really highlights the inherent uncertainty, you know? While the average might suggest around 2 goals for Colorado and maybe 1 or 2 for Seattle, there's still a significant chance of a much higher score, or even them drawing a blank. Football's unpredictable.
Absolutely. The average gives an idea, but that range shows the volatility. Okay, let's switch gears to those machine learning models, the ones predicting the outright result. Win, draw, or lose. What's the random forest model saying?
Right. The random forest, think of it as many decision trees voting. It predicts a draw for this match.
A draw.
Yeah. Based on all the features it looked at, the consensus from its trees points towards the points being shared. And the report gives metrics like precision and recall, showing how well this model usually performs.
Interesting. Okay, 1 vote for a draw. What about XGBoost? That other advanced ML method you mentioned. Does it agree?
It does, actually. XGBoost also predicts a draw as the most probable outcome.
2 for 2 on the draw prediction then from those classifiers.
Yep. And again, the report includes its specific performance stats, giving context to that prediction. It seems these two models, looking at the data through their specific algorithms, both lean towards a stalemate.
Okay, so 2 major ML models agree. What about third one, the multi-layer perceptron? The neural network. Sometimes they spot different patterns, right?
This is where it gets a little more interesting. The MLP neural network actually goes against the grain here.
Oh, how so?
It predicts an away win for Seattle.
A Seattle win, so it disagrees with the other 2.
Completely. Its prediction is different.
Yeah.
Now, looking at its performance metrics in the report, it seems it's generally quite good at identifying when Seattle does win, but it might also sometimes predict a Seattle win that doesn't happen.
Okay, so maybe higher recall for away wins, but perhaps lower precision.
Something like that, yeah. Conversely, when it predicts a draw, it tends to be quite accurate, but it might miss some draws that do happen. It has its own strengths and weaknesses, like any model.
Fascinating. So we've got a split decision from the AI prediction committee. 2 models say draw. 1 says Seattle win. Really shows how different algorithms can interpret the same data differently.
Absolutely. Different ways of weighing the features, different internal logic.
Okay, now there was one more piece you mentioned, the Monte Carlo simulation. The big one.
Yes. This one is quite cool. It takes those goal scoring probabilities we got from the Poisson model.
The 2.25 and 1.42 goals.
Exactly. And it simulates the match, get this, 10,000 times.
10,000. Wow.
Yeah. Running the game virtually that many times based on those goal rates lets you see which score lines pop up most often and what the overall win-draw-loss percentages look like across all those simulations.
Okay, so after running 10,000 virtual matches, what's the single most frequent final score?
The most likely final score, according to this massive simulation, is Colorado 2, Seattle 1.
2-1 to Colorado. Okay, that actually lines up with that initial Poisson goal prediction where Colorado had the edge.
It does, yeah. Suggests that scoreline is quite plausible based on the expected goal rates.
Feels like a potentially close game, though. Were there other scores that came up a lot of the simulations?
Definitely. The simulation also highlighted these as pretty likely. A 1-1 draw came up 8.21% of the time.
Quite high.
A 3-1 win for Colorado happened in 7.07% of simulations, and a 2-2 draw was next at 6.36%.
So while 2-1 is the single most common, there's a decent chance for draws like 1-1 or 2-2, and even a bigger Colorado win like 3-1.
Exactly. It paints a picture of possibilities, with 2-1 just being the peak probability.
Right. And what about the overall win percentages? After all those simulations, what's the breakdown for home win, draw, away win?
Okay, the Monte Carlo results give Colorado a 56.06% chance of winning at home.
56%, so better than even odds.
Yeah. The probability of a draw is calculated at 20.41%.
20%.
And Seattle winning away comes in at 23.77%.
So based on simulating the game 10,000 times using the goal probabilities, the AI clearly favors Colorado to win the match. Over 50% chance.
That's the outcome from the Monte Carlo approach, yes. A definite lean towards the home side.
Okay, let's try and synthesize all this. It's quite a lot. We've got the basic goal predictions from Poisson.
Suggesting Colorado scores more.
And the massive Monte Carlo simulation.
Also leaning towards a Colorado win, maybe 2-1, giving them a 56% win probability.
But then we have the direct machine learning classifiers.
Right, two of which, random forest and XGBoost, predict a draw.
And the third one, the neural network.
Predicts a Seattle win.
Wow. So it's not a straightforward single answer, is it? It's a really interesting mix.
It really is. And honestly, that probably reflects the reality of predicting football matches. It's complex, the goal-based models, and the big simulation point one way.
Towards Colorado.
Yeah, slight edge to Colorado. But the models designed specifically to classify the WDL outcome are less convinced, pointing towards a draw or even an away win.
And we should probably remember those injuries we talked about way back at the start.
Absolutely. Travis out for Colorado, then Henry, McMath, and Bell out for Seattle. Those absences are likely being factored into these models, but perhaps weighed differently by each algorithm. That could partly explain the differing predictions.
Right, so this isn't the AI handing us a guaranteed winner on a silver platter.
Definitely not. If only it were that easy.
But it gives us a much, much richer picture, doesn't it? It lays out the potential scenarios, the statistical leanings, the disagreements even within the AI itself. It seems like the overall message is Colorado might have a slight statistical edge.
According to some methods, particularly the goal expectancy and the simulation.
But a draw looks very plausible according to two key models, and that neural network throws a potential Seattle win into the mix too. So uncertainty remains.
Exactly. It's a comprehensive look from multiple angles. You've got the goal probabilities, the thousands of simulated matches giving percentage chances, and these different ML predictors offering their classifications. It highlights the slight Colorado advantage in some areas, but underscores that, well, it's football. Anything can happen.
So for everyone listening, it's maybe worth thinking about which type of analysis resonates most with you. Do you trust the big simulation based on goal rates?
Or do you find the direct win-draw loss predictions from models like Random Forest or XGBoost more compelling? Maybe the neural network's different take catches your eye.
Yeah, and beyond all these numbers, what about the real world? Things the stats might not fully capture. Team morale on the day. A moment of individual brilliance.
Or just sheer luck, a deflection, a refereeing decision. Things that happen in a real game that aren't perfectly predictable by any algorithm.
Absolutely. You could take this further yourself, maybe look up the head-to-head history between these two clubs.
Or dive into individual player stats, see who's hot and who's not. Or just keep an eye out for any late-breaking team news before April 26th.
And of course, the ultimate test is watching the actual game unfold. See how these AI predictions stack up against reality.
That's always the fun part.
But ultimately, this deep dive into the SmartBet AI report gives you, we hope, a much more informed perspective on this Colorado Rapids versus Seattle Sounders game. It takes us way beyond just guessing.
It offers that data-driven glimpse into the dynamics, the probabilities, the possibilities.
Well, thanks for joining us as we picked apart this fascinating analysis today. Hopefully you feel a bit more clued in ahead of the match.